Garmin's Chad Van Camp is here at camp on a bow hunt with a Garmin 0A1i Pro bow sight.
Yep, got off the plane and drove to camp. Got here and put my quiver back on, put my stabilizer on, put my sight back on, and got on the range. 20-yard pin was hitting great, 40-yard pin was a little bit high, so I dropped that down with the validate feature and ready to go hunting. So I think I got into camp about noon, and by 2 o'clock we were leaving to go. And most of that time was just spent, chatting and eating lunch.
Now, after quickly getting dialed in, he's off on his first hunt. But Chad didn't know the tree was already occupied.
When you're in the deer woods, like everything that's crunching or moving, you assume is a deer. And so, we had some deer out in front, milling around and feeding, and I hear crunching behind me, and I'm thinking, man, there's a deer right underneath me. And I turn around just real slow, and I've got a porcupine right here staring me in the face. And I just turned back real slow the other way and hope that he didn't see me. It was pretty unnerving. Like, I don't know if they can like shoot quills or if it's only if you touch them, but I didn't want to find out. So that made for the rest of that sit was interesting, to say the least.
So now we find Chad in a ground blind at what we call the dead end stand, where he'd seen some nice bucks during previous hunts, but he just never got the opportunity to draw back.
We wanted to get in there super early to make sure that we didn't bump anything, and we were there 45 minutes before it even started to crack light. But emotions were high, anticipation was high. It was a beautiful, calm morning. It felt like something was going to happen. You just get that feeling. I think it was about just before 8, and this big 9 shows up, and he's milling around. I don't really have a shot. The deer just kind of took off out of the area for a little bit. I think there was another buck that was kind of challenged him off in the woods, or maybe there was a doe off to the left. Jeff, the cameraman, said, he'll be back. He'll be back. So we continued to wait. So about 9 o'clock, there's still deer around. We got a couple really small bucks, working around us. And I turned to Jeff and I said, I thought you said that big buck would be back. And it wasn't 2 minutes later, and he came back in. And he gets in the same spot that he was the first time he showed up, where I didn't have a shot at him. But he's calm, he's feeding, everything looks good, but I got a couple extra set of eyes on me in the blind, and it is dead quiet still that morning. There's no wind. Anytime you shift in the chair or move your arms together, like, it sounds like thunder in the blind, and those deer would pop their head up and look, and then you just freeze. So finally the deer starts to make its way towards us, and I said, okay, here we go. We got him. It felt good. 27 yards. I didn't look at the number. I just ranged him. The pin drops in and I let it go. Felt like the angle was good. Thanks for keeping me calm, man. That was fun. A little exciting. That was incredible. I mean, he's been tugging at my heartstrings like all morning. He came in, didn't give me a shot. Then he gave me a shot, but it was a bad angle. That was a long shot. And he walked off, and Jeff, the cameraman here, says he'll be back. just asked Jeff, I said, I thought you said he would be back. And it wasn't 2 minutes later he came walking back out. And he milled around forever where I didn't have a shot. And he finally came in and gave us something, so we'll give him some time. And I hear Jeff's a really good tracker, so hopefully we can find him. But that's the cool thing about the zero bow sight is, you know, whenever a deer's moving around like that, wherever they stop, you just squeeze the trigger in range, and you get two things out of that. You get the range and you get the pin to shoot, but you can also tell that your grip, pressure, and your torque and everything is consistent. And I'm not used to shooting out of a ground blind and out of a chair. So when that all lines up, I know that I've got the same form that I have when I'm, you know, standing on the range. That gives you so much confidence to take a shot. So I'm super jacked up right now.
Before the break, Chad took a shot on a whitetail, but unfortunately, the deer ducked.
Now we look back at the video, and the shot was high. He ducked quite a bit on the shot. So we're gonna go back to camp, give him a couple hours, just creep out of here, and then we'll come back out later and see if we can find him. So that's the highs and lows of hunting. You know, the shot felt good, like when I let the arrow go, it was right where I wanted it, but, you know, it moved. So, did get pretty good penetration. The arrow was buried all the way to the fletching, so hopefully that's a good thing. So it's about 11 o'clock, and we shot that deer at 9. Like I said, the hit was high, so went back and rounded up Wade. Back out here now, we're gonna see if we can't track it, find it. Got a 66i inReach device that we sell at Garmin, and we've got inReach satellite messaging on this as well as maps. So we're gonna be able to see where we've been, grid search for this thing, and cover all the bases in every effort to find it. Yeah, so when you're tracking a deer or exploring any place you've not been before, and you know, I'm unfamiliar with this territory, I mean, the first thing I'm gonna do is mark a waypoint at the truck so I can always get back to that spot. But also, you know, as we're tracking this thing and looking for blood like it's possible, get turned around and start going in circles, this is gonna let us know immediately if we have been to an area or we haven't yet, and if we're on the right trail. Here's my arrow. It broke off. Got ants and just looks like meat on it. Didn't stay in very long. So I made a couple loops, didn't find anything, got back to the truck and just kind of looked at the inReach and said, well, I haven't made a loop out in this direction, and started walking, found the back half of my arrow. So it looks like it's got penetration all the way down to the wrap, and you can see we just haven't gone. So I'm looking to make another loop out in this direction, searching for this deer. So we found the front end of the arrow when we first got here. I made a couple loops, didn't find anything, and I got to thinking, well, there's one direction we didn't go. So started to make a loop out that way, found the back end of the arrow. Not a lot of blood on it, just some meat. So when he took off to run, he must have broke it in half and spit it out, but didn't find any blood. So hoping he lives to have another day. So, you know, that's one thing about, you know, the technology we build at Garmin. You know, we don't try to detract from the experience. We're trying to enhance that outdoor experience. And so, you know, today, when I took that 27-yard shot at that deer, You know, I had the 27-yard pin, and I was confident in the range. Left, right was good. If there's any fault of mine, I should have aimed a little lower, thinking he would duck, but you know, I felt good where I left the pin when I shot it. But you know, all the technology in the world doesn't help you. I mean, these animals are still wild and free, and you know, you've got to, you know, it's you against them. And in this particular instance, you know, didn't turn out the way I would have hoped, but I think he'll be back.
And back he was. He was spotted on our trail cameras alive and well and chasing does. One of the most asked questions we get from new hunters is where to aim on a deer. Let's sit down with Wade as he discusses where he likes to aim and what happens to that deer after you take the shot.
A quick way to start a lot of debates around a gun store or a campfire or basically anywhere deer hunters gather, I mean, even typing on your keyboard on social media, is talk about where to shoot a deer. The decision on where to aim at is based in my opinion, a lot of times on what you're hunting with, as well as your skill level and the emotions in the moment. Some people can control their emotions better than others, but the goal is to obviously hit a deer in the vitals. And the vitals are a lot of different places, things like the heart, the lungs, the liver. In the first place that we all want to hit is the heart. I mean, the heart is it's a guaranteed kill. I call it running dead. When you hit an animal in the heart, he's gonna run and die a lot of times if he doesn't just collapse right there, depending on what you're doing. But that running dead also can cause a lack of blood, because a heart shot, I mean, you're blowing everything up. It's not pumping blood like it would, so it can be a tracking situation. But if you hit them in the heart, chances are it's not going over 100 and probably only 50 yards, and you're gonna find that animal fairly quick. The lungs are a large target on a deer in reality. You know, it doesn't matter what you're hunting with, from a firearm to any type of projectile coming out of a bow, coming out of a crossbow. I mean, there's just a lot there to be aiming at when you're talking about the lungs. Now, there are angles on the lungs that you're gonna do more damage than not. You get a perfectly broadside shot and you can get a double lung shot. That's gonna be ideal. It's gonna blow through. You're gonna do a tremendous amount of damage. You know, a bullet or the broadhead, chances are gonna exit, and you know, that deer's not gonna go very far. He can't breathe in those types of situations. When you take out one lung or the other based on the angle, you know, that deer can run further. You wanna give those deer a little more time in those types of situations, but the lungs and that heart, as we mentioned earlier, those are two best vitals to know. If you can get any projectile into those, your chances of recovering that deer in a short distance are very, very good. The liver is another key vital aspect. It's not generally gonna go too far, but it's where I probably make my largest mistakes when I'm tracking. A liver shot deer a lot of times can go significant distances, but more often than not, they bed down real quick, and you think you're on a good blood trail, you jump that deer, and the next thing you know, he's gone a long way, and the track becomes very difficult. A lot of times, if the deer moves, it ducks, or your angle isn't exactly like you think, your emotions get a little bit shook up, you hit it back a little bit, you will take out the liver. And in those types of situations, that blood can be very red. And you're gonna, in your mind, a lot of times, if you really can play it back, you're gonna know that shot was back. And in those situations, if you go too soon, you're probably gonna jump that deer. If you think you hit the liver, give that deer sufficient time to die. It's gonna die if you hit it in the liver. I mean, it's a vital key area. It can't live without it, but it may take it longer than you think it will. Deer are just tougher than we think they are, so we deserve to aim at the right spot to try to make the most ethical, concise kill that we can every time we go out, which means practice and preparation, and that practice and preparation includes studying their vitals and being prepared as good as we can. We can't control our emotions. I mean, I've got some of my best buddies, buck fever gets them, their eyes spin back in their head, sweat starts pouring out of them, and they just can't even aim anymore at that point. But that's what deer hunting is all about. That's one of the most exciting parts of deer hunting. So control that breathing, good luck, and hopefully your deer's gonna be dead around that next bush. Venison is one of my favorite things to eat. Angel's got a lot of recipes, as do I, that we really enjoy with venison. And we fill our freezer up as much as we can, whether we're eating at home, cooking for friends, or we're bringing it to deer camps, or wherever it may be. You know, venison is it's a favorite of ours.
And I'm amazed at how many people I talk to that don't like venison. They're like, "Ooh, I don't want to eat venison." And I'm like, man, you've either, number one, never had it properly prepared, or number two, hadn't had it properly taken care of in the field, or number three, you've never really ate it. Because if you've ate it and you've had it taken care of in the field and properly prepared, I mean, it's just awesome to eat. The first thing about it is it begins in the field. You know, if you get an animal that's been wounded and tracked for a long periods of time, or it's warm outside, and yeah, the meat may not be as good. It's still gonna be good. You're still gonna enjoy the meal, but maybe you process it a little different. A lot of times in early season, if I've got a buck I've taken with my bow, I may turn that one all into hamburger. Conversely, if I take a doe later in the year and it's good and cold, we got a good quick kill, I may make that all into steaks. I'm kind of always in my mind thinking about the best, you know, what happened with this deer, how old it was, how it was harvested, how fast it was recovered, what's the weather. I pay attention to a lot of that to ensure that, you know, I'm really using the meat to the best of its ability. I've got a few key things that, you know, are mandatory to me. I want to, first off, recover every animal we shoot as fast and humanely as possible. Secondly, I want to field dress it and cool it down as fast as humanly possible. By that, we're going to get it back and we're going to field dress it in the field or back at the camp as fast as we can, and we're going to begin to cool it down and age it. I think that cooling down and aging process is really a important one when it comes to, you know, taking care of that meat. If you're one of those guys that sit around and on the back of the truck and pose with the deer and it's 80 degrees out there for hours on end, I mean, first off, you need to be slapped because you're not taking advantage of the best part of that meat. You're basically wasting a lot of it. I'm just a believer in that meat is equally as important as showing off those antlers. So let's get it cooled down, get it taken care of, and show proper respect to it. After we've gotten all of that done and it's taken care of, the processing part of it. I mean, I've got buddies of mine that process every little ounce of meat down to the last little piece that they can, and they've got the time to do it, and they've got some awesome recipes, and I've got other people that take it to processors to get that done. Regardless of which way you go, think about the end use now as you're getting into that process. Do you like hamburger meat? Do you like pan sausage? Do you like it spicy or not spicy? Do you want more steaks? Do you like jerky? Do you like cold smoked sausage? How do you want your back straps? Butterflied with bacon wrapped around them? Do you want your tenderloins whole? What about your hams? What about the shoulders? What about the neck? You know, are you making some stew meat? Are you making chili meat? What are you doing with that meat? Because, I mean, the list is endless. So think about some of your favorite meals. Think about how your family likes it. Think about what you're gonna do with that deer, even before you get it if you can, and then have that plan in place so as you're getting it processed, you can get the most benefit out of it. Then once you get ready to start cooking it, man, there's a million different ways that you can cook it. I mean, we love chicken fried venison. That's one of our favorites, but smoking it. I'm talking when you start trying to smoke venison, and all the different ways that you can do it. You know, I love it wrapped in bacon with some cream cheese and some jalapenos in there. I also like it just as a straight piece of tenderloin or backstrap where you cut it into little steaks and you just put it in there and you're letting that smoke come out and you eat it exactly like that. You know, and I like it cut up into little hors d'oeuvres. I mean, you can take a piece and dice it up into little pieces with cheese and put it out for a football game or the main course, whatever it may be. I mean, it's just always going to be good that way. And then finally, I mean, well, let's see, you can make it into soups and stews and roasts, and like I said, the list is endless. So when it comes to venison, take care of it in the field, have a good plan. Whether you process it or somebody else processes it, think about all the cuts, think about the proper ways to cook it. Don't overcook it, don't get it too hot, and if you do get it too hot, don't let it cook too long. But I promise you, venison is one of those things, if you don't like it, you've just never had it prepared properly.
That'll do it for this episode of the Yamaha Whitetail Diaries. Yeah, we'll see you next time.